What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Saw Sports. If you're not familiar with Saw Sports is a Houston Texans homer network. We're talking all sports, but only Houston. This is primarily the Texas channel. If you want the other Astros, Rockets, Dynamo Dash, professional, amateur, high school teams, so make sure you go to sawsports.tv. But let's get into the 5 takeaways from tonight's game with the Detroit Lions versus the Houston Texans. I saw some things that I liked. I know y'all say, oh, you guys are always negative. We're going to focus on some positive things that might be having me trending up for the Texans season this year. Make sure that you're following Saw Sports on Twitter and Instagram at Saw Sports HTX. Make sure you like the Facebook page. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're going to be dropping a lot of content around here, so make sure you're following. And let's just get into the 5 takeaways from tonight's game, man. I hope you're ready. Tonight, Deshaun Watson looked extremely decisive. I think there's a few reasons why that is, but let's just kind of get into it. He only had one drive, the initial drive, where he went 5 for 7. Had 60 yards passing, had a 7-yard rush, and he capped off the drive with a touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins in the end zone. Just looked like he was just making decisions, didn't really have a lot of pressure on him. You could say that the line held up better tonight. You could say, hey, it's the Detroit Lions. I think there's a couple of arguments that you could have there. But if that line can look like they look tonight, Deshaun is in for a big season, even better season than last year. We know what he had to deal with last year, 62 sacks and 100-something hits, ridiculous number. So if that line can hold up and allow him to be comfortable back there like he was today, I expect big things. But I think there's 2 or 3 other factors that attributed to Deshaun being able to stand back in the pocket and make plays, make decisions. He made quick decisions. There wasn't a lot of hesitation, didn't hold the ball very much. But let's get into some of those other factors. Let's get into the next thing right now as to why I felt like Deshaun had a good drive and why this Texans team may be trending upward more so than I thought. But let's get into it right now. Part of the reason why I feel like Deshaun was a bit more comfortable today, we saw last week, even though Deshaun didn't play, we saw Matt, not the real deal, Khalil, get handled. We've seen him getting handled in practice. Today, Khalil was out. You saw Roderick Johnson come in, and he was pretty stalwart. Looks like he was making plays. He did a very good job, in my opinion. I have no complaints about his performance tonight. Some of the other linemen look good too, but I just noticed that this was a very noticeable factor. The guy protecting Deshaun's blind side. I'm not saying he's the guy in the future. I'm not saying that there are better options out there, but tonight he looked good. And if he can play the way that he played tonight, again, just the preseason, let's not overhype it, but if he can play the way that he played tonight, he has a good career ahead of him, and he may have a good career or have a good season this season, protecting the quarterback. We need those bodyguards. Now, I believe Khalil has a clause in his contract that if he's cut before the season, the Texans can save some money. Being the cheap organization that the Texans are, I would not be surprised if you see that happen. I mean, he's been piss poor. There's no reason to have him on there. You got a guy who much younger, much healthier. I'd rather take the risk with Roger Johnson than Khalil because I don't even think Khalil will make it through a whole season the way he's been playing, the way he's been getting handled. And I want the quarterback to be safe. I want Deshaun to be able to stay upright and be decisive like he was. Now, I'm not going to say Roger Johnson was the only reason that Deshaun looked good, that the Texans looked good early on, and that this offense did all right tonight. There's another very important factor that I'm going to get into right now, so stay tuned. Now, I know we've called this man the scapegoat, the party planner, the cup holder, all kind of things around here, but the Texans proved us wrong. Tonight, they allowed Tim Kelly to call plays, and the offense it just looked more dynamic. It looked much more explosive. You saw a lot more attempts at big plays. Not all of them were successful, but you saw a lot of them, and some of that was on the execution, and I think some of that was on the characters that were playing the role tonight. Had that been the starting guys, had that been everybody being healthy, I think you would have this offense with the right pieces in it, and I'm going to get to that further into the conversation, it looks different. And if this is Tim Kelly's role, if he's actually going to be calling plays, I'm looking forward to what this offense can do. I've said it time and time again that we have pieces in this offense, but certain head coaches who like to carry all the responsibilities, to me they're not the best play callers. To me they don't make the right decision. To me they don't capitalize on the skill set that some of these guys have. Tonight Tim Kelly made all the right moves, in my opinion. Execution on the field, there was still stuff left to be said, but I'm not going to complain on that. If this guy is the guy going into the future, I'm really looking forward to what he's bringing to the table, and I think that this Texans offense can be very dynamic and, might be in the top half, maybe top 10 offense in the league. We have the weapons to do it. If the play calling is there, I may be changing my opinions on a lot of things that I've said, and I may be serving up a buffet of crow coming real soon. Now, there's another factor we got to get into that is very important that you saw tonight, if you watched the game or if you didn't see, just, I guess, a mini recap. that I think is integral, and I think a lot of people have underestimated. And I think tonight proved why this guy is going to be a big asset, or this is going to be a big factor into this team. Next. DeAndre Carter is a much bigger factor than people want to give him credit for. You saw him come back tonight. You saw him. He's mainly the guy that's going to be handling return duties. We questioned last week, why was Kiki out there returning the ball? It didn't look good. You saw Carter come in tonight, and it just feels natural. You can see that that's where he excels. I feel much more comfortable with Carter being there. But not only what he brings to special teams, not only what he brings to the return game, but most importantly, Carter is an additional weapon for the Texans. You saw him out there making plays. You saw him out there making catches. He's a really shifty guy. It is necessary that he makes a team, especially when you have questions about Kuti at this point. I'm not calling Kuti injury prone. I'm not saying he has the injury bug. We just saw he was in a precarious position last game. I think they want to be safe with him so that they know that they have him as a weapon going into the season. But as an insurance policy, you have to keep DeAndre Carter on this team, on this roster. And I mean, one, he excels at returning the ball. But two, I'm not going to say he's just as good as Kuti, but to have two very dynamic slot guys that you can use as various weapons, I think is extremely important for the Texans, especially going forward. We just talked about Tim Kelly, providing him with all the assets that he can, I think, and I would love to see some looks with Kuti and Carter on the field at the same time. I think this Texans offense is going to be very dynamic if some of the things that we saw tonight are sticking, again, with the right people in place. You only saw the starters for the first drive. But with the right people in place, this could be a very potent situation. DeAndre Carter is an X factor into why this team could be one of the top offenses in the league this year. Special teams is going to be special. There's three phases of the game. There's offense, defense, special teams. Anytime you're winning two phases of the game, you're usually in a very good position. And I'm not just talking about Kemah, but I'm talking about guys that we have. I mean, just a litany of guys, some of them undrafted, some of them, lower round guys, but out there playing special teams. Brad Seeley has this unit looking excellent. And I think they'll only get better as the year goes on. We saw them look much improved last year. I have higher expectations this year. These guys are getting down there, they're making hits, they're covering, they're causing turnovers. I have high hopes for this unit. This has historically been probably the worst phase of football. I mean, up until maybe last year or so, for the Texans, for this Houston Texans, it's always been terrible. But this unit is much improved, vastly improved, and I have a lot of high hopes from him. And Kemah is a great kicker too. A lot of people want to get mad at one or two, but he's probably one of the most efficient kickers in the league. He has his struggles here and there, but as much, I want to say last time I checked, he was at a high 90%. 90+% rate of connection. And so my thing is, people just, they see one thing. I saw a lot of people, I think, because he missed one in Green Bay, talking about, we need to stop the nonsense. Now, the Trevor Daniel and Angerer battle confuses me. We're not going to get into that. It is what it is. But the special teams unit as a whole is going to be integral to the Texans having success this year. And if these guys can create key turnovers, which is basically a transfer of field position, it can be a gain, it can be a loss, whatever you want to call it, depending on how it happens. But my thing is, this unit will contribute to any of the success that the Texans have this year. Now, I know I told you it was 5 takeaways. But you guys keep listening. I got a little bonus takeaway for you that I'm going to bring up in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned. So, to me, those are the 5 most important factors takeaways from tonight's game. The 30-23 win over the Detroit Lions by the Houston Texans, man. I tell you, the players, when I see these guys play, I hate what's going on with the coaching staff, but when you see these guys play, it makes you get excited for the potential of this team. There's so much talent here, but we're going to be talking about it all season long, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you fill in the notification bell, make sure you're following on Soft Sports HTX. Make sure you have the HTX on Instagram and Twitter. Go like the Soft Sports Facebook page, become a part of the Soft Sports Facebook group. All the links in the description below for everything you need to know. Shout out to the roundtable. Shout out to everybody making good original Texas content and supporting the city of Houston. Shout out to Sauce Nation. Even if you're not from the city of Houston, man, it's all love, man. Because I know we got fans from all over the place who shout out to the Sauce, even though they may be enemies, whatever it may be, when the season comes. But we rock with them in the off season. I told you I'm gonna give y'all a bonus take, man. I'm gonna give y'all one more thought, something I think is gonna be extremely important. And it's not just based on tonight's game, but I think something that we all know, and I've kind of hinted to it a couple of times in some of the other earlier takes that we took. But again, shout out to everybody. Make sure you follow, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And hey, man, I'm gonna catch y'all next time. Here's that bonus take, and I'm out. It's your boy, Ed Honcho. Bonus take. We all know the Texans have weapons. And I alluded to Tim Kelly having all the right pieces. I alluded to that Lion can hold Deshaun Watson up. We know how dynamic he is. We know how dynamic DeAndre Hopkins is. We haven't seen Will Fuller. We saw a brief glimpse of Kiki Kuti. In addition to these guys that we already know, I mean, you take a look at DeAndre Carter. You take a look at Vincent Smith made some plays tonight. Adams, you look at all the tight end group, Thomas and what he's able to do, Akins and what he's able to, Fells even look decent. We haven't seen Kahale Warren. The Texans have an embarrassment of riches as far as pass catching talent. Lamar Miller, a lot of Texas fans don't like him. I think he's a serviceable running back, but Duke Johnson coming out of the backfield, that's going to be another weapon for Deshaun Watson. If we can find a combination of players who can keep this line sturdy and hold Deshaun Watson upright, the Texans' future is unlimited. I've told you my thoughts on Bill O'Brien and his capabilities of doing it, but if he's allowing Tim Kelly to call plays, he's allowing Cornell, and y'all know my thoughts on him, to do what he does. If Tim Kelly can execute with all these pieces in place, if health can be if health can be across the board, we can stay healthy. I do believe that the Texans, they can go anywhere. But we do know this game. We do know what happens. But I said I'm going to keep it upbeat. I'm going to keep it on the up and up. That's just something that I'm excited about. The Texans, if they are healthy, the sky is the limit. But with that being said, hey, so I'll give y'all a little bonus. I want to know how y'all feel, man. Make sure y'all drop that in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. If you agree, you disagree with any of the takes. If you if you think I missed something, man, let me know. But again, shout out to Sauce Nation. Shout out to the Round Table. Shout out to everybody, man. With that being said, it's your boy Honcho. I'm going for real this time. Catch y'all next time.